The Millionaire Mindset. So I'm currently in beautiful Busselton in the south of Perth and here for a speaking engagement at the Mogul Mastermind with the great Kim Barrett. We're talking about the Millionaire Mindset. And it's really interesting with my conversations with Kim. It's very common the response that I get when I start talking about the concept of the millionaire mindset. Most pragmatic business owners like Kim go, it's not going to be any of that kind of woo-woo crystal shit, is it? And my approach to mindset is very, very different. I think for so many people, they think that the idea of mindset must be esoteric. It must be this kind of holistic, spiritual perspective on kind of lifting your invisible ceilings. My approach is very pragmatic. And there's a few key cornerstones that have helped a lot of my clients amass tremendous amounts of wealth, and that for the rest of people often get in the way of them amassing the level of wealth and having the financial freedom they ultimately desire. And it's actually far easier than you might think. The first thing that we need to do is we need to understand the way in which we process financial information. We either do so from a position of scarcity, whereby usually we have some level of jealousy that exists, right? There's an envy that exists that, okay, I don't have the financial success that other people have. Why haven't I been able to achieve it? Why do all of these other people who seem to never work as hard as I do or have been at it for as long as I have, why are they so much further ahead? And typically we immediately follow that with this feeling of guilt, because we know it's wrong to think that way. We're like, oh, I shouldn't think that way. I'm a bad person. This isn't great. But then we blame, right? Because we want to shift that from ourselves to the external environment, because taking that accountability and responsibility for your situation is very hard. And we say, oh, well, it's the economy's fault. It's the market's fault. It's interest rates' fault, it's inflation's fault, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on. There's always going to be someone or something to blame. And the issue of this is that this is very depleting. This takes a lot of energy. And it reinforces this underlying belief that wealth and finance must be a zero-sum game, okay? That in order for you to win, somebody else has to lose. And in order for you to lose, it means that somebody else has won at your expense. And the world doesn't work this way. There is a tremendous amount of means, and the vast majority of people who apply these principles can win. So the first thing we need to do is we need to shift into a frame of abundance. The idea of abundance is that it initially starts with gratitude. So if you ever find yourself having that fleeting thought of envy, jealousy, you need to shift directly to being grateful. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I live in Australia. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to travel to beautiful Busselton. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak and educate other people. There's always something to be grateful for. No matter how dire your situation may be, we must find gratitude in that. And then when we look for gratitude, it fuels creativity. We start to think differently. And through thinking differently, we open ourselves up to collaboration. Opportunities tend to just present themselves. This has been proven, guys, that for individuals who have this scarcity-based mentality on the world, they close their mind to the opportunities. They miss the opportunities. The opportunities are staring them right in the face. But confirmation bias leads them not to be able to see them. When we start looking for those opportunities, when we open our perspective up to those opportunities, they just miraculously present themselves. And this has happened far too many times to me and my clients for it to be a coincidence. And then this basically shows us that we get to a point whereby there is abundant resource, right? That we have the ability to be in a perspective that what we can perceive, we can achieve. And I'm a big believer of this. Now, the next part to it is understanding your money memories, okay? Throughout the course of our life, we have had certain experiences that have crafted and honed our beliefs around money, okay? Usually when you were a child. There is a good friend of mine, Jamin Frazier, spoke at our last Financial Freedom Summit, TEDx speaker, and he talks about insecurity. And a lot of us have our insecurities because of a misunderstanding that we had in our kind of like 4 or 5 year old selves, right? There was a situation whereby we were encountered with something that happened, we blamed ourselves for it, and through the lenses of this child, we have basically allowed that to hone and craft the way that we make decisions across the board. And The issue with this is that it's a flawed perspective. And we need to go through and unpack these memories, no matter how painful they may be, to understand the patterns that have actually gone through various stages of our life and compounded to where we ultimately are right now. And then once we understand them, we can start reprogramming them, shifting them, and laying the foundations to basically support ourselves to get on the trajectory for what we want. Third part is we need to get clear on what it is we actually want. Money is not the destination, it is the vehicle that gets you there. And when we understand the destinations that we truly want, and we have the ability to then set the financial means required in order to achieve those things, it changes the way that we go about building wealth. Because the vast majority of people who are blindly chasing wealth itself will fail because it doesn't intrinsically motivate them. It is superficial, it is ego-driven, and that is not the fuel that gets us from where we are to where we need to go. That fuel is often in very scarce supply. And for that reason, most people fall short and they talk about procrastination and not being able to do the work because they're not bloody invested. There is another behavioral principle called loss aversion bias. And it basically means that you feel the emotion of loss twice as significantly as the emotion of gain. So unless you can have twice as much investment into why you should be pursuing a gain in the first place, you're going to stay exactly where you are. So what we go through is we go through an exercise called the 20-year roadmap. It might sound a little bit scary, but what we actually do is we document all of your goals, dreams, and aspirations over 1, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, both lifestyle and financial. And then once we get crystal clear on all of these outcomes, we then attach the resources required to get there, which is either time and or money. And we can reverse engineer that into the exact things that you need to do to make these goals happen, right? And we are able to connect the activity to the outcomes. This is an absolute game changer for the vast majority of people who do this. They elevate the quality of their ability to achieve their goals, in some cases upwards of 50%, right? Since I've been doing this exercise over the last decade, I've achieved 90+% of all of my goals. Now, the last component to this is understanding the financial levers that we need to pull to get us from where we are to where we need to go, because your earned income will never make you wealthy, guys. It is what you do with it. And there are 5 fundamental levers that you can pull that get you from where you are to where you ultimately want to go to be financially free. One is your current financial position, right? What are your current assets, current investments? You can't change that right now. It is what it is. It's a lag indicator. 2 is your surplus. How much money do you have to commit towards future wealth creation? Once again, your earned income doesn't make you wealthy. It's the surplus that you commit to wealth building. 3 is your risk tolerance, or what is the return expected for the amount of risk that you are prepared to take. You could invest it all in cash. You'd be lucky to keep up with inflation. You could go and punt it on cryptocurrency or other speculative investments. It could do a bajillion percent, could go to zero, right? Most people find themselves on the spectrum of those two extremes. Then we have, how long are we prepared to wait? This is time, right? If you're retiring in a year, you don't have a lot of time to burn, and therefore your risk must be considerate at that time frame. And if you've got 40 years to go, then you've got lots of time ahead of you. So that is a lever that has higher sensitivity the more time that you've got available. And then lastly, you've got expectations. What are your financial freedom expectations? How much do you need? And ideally we set that in stone and only compromise that if the other levers are not working. Now, out of all of those levers, the most significant one that we can pull as business owners is surplus. This is about understanding exactly how much surplus that we need to contribute based on our current position, the risk that we're prepared to take, the time that we've got available to achieve financial freedom, and the expectation of what financial freedom looks like. And that means that we just focus on surplus, because all of the other ones have far lower sensitivity to influencing your outcome than the surplus that you can contribute. And the great thing as a business owner is we have control over our ability to enhance that surplus, meaning that we can double down on that a lot more. So this is a crash course on my perspective on the Millionaire Mindset and how we take our clients through this process. If you're interested in finding out more, I've got a stack of great resources in my bio. Click the link, go grab my books, go grab all of the calculators that'll help you actually crunch these numbers for yourself. And if you've got any questions about it, hit me up in the comments. Catch you soon.